One of my favorite lines is "Keep it simple, stupid."
Three, two, one.
So like, keep it simple, stupid.
Ladies and gentlemen, with me today, I have Kier Creates. He is a YouTube content creator. He does prop making and cosplay designs as well as content and tutorials as well, I believe, on
Yep.
YouTube to show you guys how to create 3D printing and modeling. Kier, if you could elaborate a little bit on that for me, please.
Yeah. Well, first thing, I have not dabbled in modeling yet. That is a whole thing there, because like that, I've seen a lot of people do it, and yeah, there's a lot involved with that. But I do a lot of 3D printing. I do, and so I've teached how to like finish your props, like put them together, get a smooth paint job on them, as well as like some companies to get some stuff from. It's just a whole slew of different things with prop making, mostly in 3D printing, as well as like a lot of review content for where to get cosplays, and a little bit of entertainment on the side, which in the future I'm hoping to do a little more of.
Very nice. So Kira, if you don't mind, I have a couple questions for you today.
Yeah,
Perfect. To start,
I do
what
mind actually. You're gonna have to pay me extra for that. No, I'm kidding.
50 bucks a question, right?
Make it 100.
Ooh, that's a little rich for me. What
Well, I'm broke.
in this economy, yeah.
Homie, I am broke. By about $20.
100 bucks a question, man? That may help a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, every little bit counts.
So, what inspired you to go into 3D printing?
Depression. Uh, so I had a lot going on in my life, and also uh I started doing like a lot of Spider-Man stuff. And when you get up into like the higher echelon of Spider-Man cosplays, you need to do what are known as face shells, which are like these shells that you wear underneath your fabric mask to have like that Spider-Man shape. Now it's not just for Spider-Man, it's like also done for Deadpool and a bunch of other different characters. And so they are not cheap if you get a good one. And so I was like, all right, it's probably going to be more cost effective if I start learning how to do these myself and just invest up front in a 3D printer, which I didn't end up doing because my grandmother actually footed the bill for that. So thank you, Grandma. So she got me an Ender free. I started 3D printing Spider-Man face shells, and then some stuff happened in my life, and that made my confidence, well, my low self confidence, like go outside of that, turn more into it's like, okay, I kind of got to do something bigger here. So it's been a
Right.
whole rabbit hole.
What kind of content goes into 3D printing? What do you show online?
Oh, all kinds of stuff. One video I wish I would have made is me destroying the Ender free, because those printers suck. But no, there's all kinds of videos that you can do with 3D printing. Like I said, like you can make videos about like how to slice them, like get like your digital settings ready for like your speeds and like all that stuff. Like teach people that. Make like absolutely really goofy things. Like I know another creator that I've met, Emily the engineer. She has done a lot of like goofy SpongeBob stuff. So like you can make really goofy stuff, really cool stuff, like the Iron Man suits like I made, and just like from any type of fandom, and just like do a whole lot of it, whether it's like a full prop that is made purely from just 3D printed stuff, or you just integrate 3D printing into like a whole larger project, whether that be like an actual costume or a prop that like uses a blend of like 3D printing, foam work, and like just a whole bunch of stuff. So like it could be used to like make an entire suit, make an entire prop, or add on just another layer of quality to a prop or costume that you made for like sewing and foam and stuff like that. So there's an absolute endless amount of content you can do with 3D printing, basically. Though sometimes it gets repetitive.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Especially since you've been doing it, I believe, for what is it?
3D printing, for that would be about 2 years actually.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure after a while that gets a little tedious and repetitive, right?
Yeah, I'm actually working on one more Iron Man video right now, and then I am done with 3D printing at least for like a while. Like take a good break from it until like I come back with something fresh.
Okay.
So that's not just like the same thing that I've done over and over. Because like I've made a couple Spider-Man face shell videos, I've made a whole Iron Man video series. So just sometimes you kind of need to step back, take a break from it because I've gotten burnt out on just the repetitiveness of like doing like the same exact process for different props because I made a bunch of other props on my channel, like a angel dust gun from Has Been Hotel,
Wow.
uh, a arm from Ruby for Yang Zhao Wong, if anyone has heard of that show.
Of course.
And so like just a whole bunch of stuff that I've also done for commissions. Like right now I'm working on a giant bow about this big from League of Legends for somebody.
Jesus.
And so you're constantly doing that just like for like 2 years straight. And I'm just like, I want to do something else, man. Like this is cool, but like I need to take a break, try something new, you know?
It's always good to expand and it's always good to try new things because you don't want to get stuck doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Eventually, you kind of lose your passion for it. You kind of lose the
Hmm.
drive to do it. But if it's something that you love to do, you find your way back to it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Like I don't want to give it up. It's just I want to explore other things because I've always wanted to be an entertainer and do YouTube since I was a kid. And so the tutorial content, I love teaching people and stuff like that and inspiring people to like to make their own builds. Like at Cosplay World last weekend, I met a kid that built an entire Mark 42 because of me. And I was like, what? Why? There because like there's Frankly Bill out there who has like a million subs who's like taught me and like so many other people how to do it and like so many other creators and it's just like why me? So like it also has other rewards like that like you don't really think of until like it happens and it's still like oh Jesus Christ what? That's
you
like yeah
you never know who your work is reaching out to. You never
no
know. You know,
no you don't.
it could just be some, like you said, some kid at home wanting to make their own Iron Man suit, or somebody who also wants to make something from Has Been Hotel or
Mm-hmm.
Ruby or something like that. You know, you never know. And there's so much that goes into 3D printing and prop making. It's endless.
Oh
It's
yeah.
really endless. You know, uh, I remember when 3D printing first started. I was in college, and the idea for it was just for it to be commercialized at places like Barnes and Noble for you to go there and have them print it for you. And then it
Yep.
became readily available at a household item at this point. Um, what's your stance on how it's evolved over the years?
Well, I joined the 3D printing crew in 2020, 2023, well, late 2022. So I like 3D printing was not even in my mind before then.
Okay.
Like it wasn't even like a concept in my head. So like I just like suddenly stumbled across Frankly Built's YouTube channel where he made his suit and I was like, wow, I could actually make this thing that I've wanted since I was 10, and that's what introduced me to the world of 3D printing. It's like, wow, you could just like buy this machine, throw like a file on your computer, and then put it on your machine, and then boom, this thing just makes the thing for you. And it's just like, well, this is a whole game changer. No, like nothing like having to make it from scratch from like EVA foam anymore, stuff like that. Because like it's funny because before I joined this, the podcast here, uh, I was watching in my friend and like with some friends on Discord, a show called Masters of Cosplay that was on Sci-Fi in 2014. It's a horrible show, but it's just like they like dramatize like how ridiculous it was like doing like casting work for like molds for silicone and like a lot of EVA work and it's just like I saw that. I was like, okay, I know this is traumatized, but there are like some cases like you get into like super high end stuff and you're like crunching on the line and you're having to make this thing from scratch rather than you throw it on a machine and you just got to do like the finishing and paint work. Like it was like it's still crazy now because like some of the sanding and painting, like you have to take your time with and do it right. But it's nowhere near like having to create this whole thing from nothing anymore with foam and stuff like that. So like it's really taken like it's again, there's still a lot of craziness in cosplay and
Of course.
foam and stuff is still kicking and it's never gonna be replaced. But it's taking a little bit less crazy out of the equation if you have a printer and you don't put yourself on a time crunch. But yeah,
Of course.
it's wild how much things have come.
It's insane because I remember 3D printing was only going to be for like small stuff. It
Hmm.
wasn't even meant for cosplays. It wasn't meant for a collectible that, like you said, like you wanted since you were 10 years old. It wasn't meant for that. It was
Yeah.
meant to print out logo design. It was meant to print out a coffee mug or something like that, you know? Now people are 3D printing body organs and
Yep.
like like it's insane how
There's even a
artificial.
company 3D printing houses
Yes, it's
of cement with
houses.
actual like yeah, there's a company that's 3D printing houses using cement. Uh just basically just like this giant framework and then this like giant like nozzle head just like 3D printing houses with concrete. It's absolutely insane.
Wow, that's
Yeah, so it's not just like in the world of cosplay, personal use, or just like in general commercial, but like also for like just production in general, like assembly lines, stuff like that. Because eventually 3D printing technology is probably gonna be so good that's gonna replace like it might replace a lot of these assembly lines and factories, stuff like that where instead of like having like it go down the line, you have to put it on piece by piece or whatever, you
right.
could just print the entire product.
Well, we started with that with people were literally like screwing and tightening things on.
Hmm.
Then we moved to machinery. Now we're going to be moving over to 3D printing. Quite truthfully, I could see 3D printing taking over the food industry at some point too. I
I'd
mean,
say give it about 5, 10 years.
yeah, easy, easy. Do you have any of your props or pieces that you made nearby?
I have my arm in arm's reach. So this is the Yang Xiaowang arm that I mentioned from Ruby.
Wow.
So I made this for Otakon last year because I did a collaboration with a Ruby Rose cosplayer that I've been like a big fan of for a while. So that was in itself pretty crazy. But yeah, I had a buddy of mine actually custom model this arm and hand for me, and so he modeled that. I 3D printed it. I want to say the entire process from print from like in the slicer to the printer all the way to the finished product that you see here. I want to say about 2 weeks,
Wow.
and that's including that I work 40 hours a week.
Of course.
Yeah,
That
like yeah, so I had to figure out how to assemble it, scale it properly to my arm because I had to do a lot of wonky scaling to get it like to fit properly on like my forearm like this. And just a little bit of simple engineering work by using elastic so I can easily slide my hand in. A couple magnets in the edges here to help align it. And the bicep and forearm are connected just by a hot glued in strap here, like not Velcro, but yeah, just a hot glued strap here. So that way that's all connected. So that way I don't have to put these on like piece by piece. I just slide the whole thing on in one go.
it doesn't even look like a print. It looks like an actual piece of armor that
Yeah.
you. That's insane.
Yeah, thank you. I also used some automotive stuff on here. Well, the silver is just like a gunmetal. It's like a Krylon dark metal paint, and it looks really, really nice. I just love this paint in general. And then the yellow here is actually a metallic tint. So this is like a tint that you could put on like car wheels, stuff like that from Duplicolor. and I put this on top of a metallic gold paint, and it created this really nice metallic yellow that like I'm just absolutely in love with how that turned out.
That is really well done. That's really well done.
Thank you.
That actually kind of leads me to my next question for you. You were talking about like the elastic in the piece there. What goes into putting together the elastics? And for example, on your Iron Man suit that you have, the wiring alone, like what goes into making a masterpiece like that?
Well, one of my favorite lines is "Keep it simple, stupid," because like you see something like that, and it's got like these bright lights and stuff in it like that, and you have this piece that like slides on fairly easily, but also like clamps on so that way you don't have a giant gap. So the elastic's really simple because I literally just buy some like elastic, like an elastic roll on Amazon. I cut it to whatever size I need, and I just hot glue it in, bada bing, bada boom, and there you go. And the magnets, you just glue those in. And like I said, the strap that I had for the bicep and the forearm, I just literally cut the strap and hot glue that in too. And to make it like detach from itself, just add a buckle to it. So like it's a lot simpler than one would think to like make something work. Now you can go into like super complicated engineering design stuff like that, but I'm more of a like I like simplism and minimalism when it comes to that stuff. It's just like as long as I can get the thing to work, like I can get it on, it works, and like I don't have this like big ugly like thing showing through. That's all I really care about. So,
Of
like,
course.
I'm not really cared I don't care about, like, engineering super sophisticated systems because you don't really need to. Like, you just like, it's hard at first when you're figuring it out, but, once you, like, get the basics down, then, like, everything else gets easier, like, for example, the electronics. So, I come from an automotive background. Like, I already had some, knowledge on electronics.
Okay.
And so that kind of came fairly simple to me because I already knew how to solder. I already knew like how to have voltages work with certain lights and stuff like that, and how to like create like wiring harnesses, stuff like that. It's like kind of simple because like you could buy the connectors on Amazon, which already have like bits of wires on them, and you literally just get the connectors, get your wire, uh, use a wire stripper to cut the casing off of each end, twist tie them together, solder them together, and well, make sure like you slide some heat shrink on there or like wrap it in electrical tape, and then boom, you got like a wiring system. And as long as like your power source has enough voltage, or yeah, has enough voltage to power whatever you're powering, whether that's like some sort of motorization like a servo or something like a bright LED light. Electronics are usually pretty simple. Where it gets more complicated is when you get into like boards and stuff like that, like PCB boards and stuff like that with programming to like, for example, have your servo spin a certain way, a certain speed, have certain light effects, like have them like a breathing light effect, or like it go up and like when you get into like complicated stuff like that, then it gets a little more tricky because then you have to learn coding. But fortunately, because of how much time has passed and how much resources are out there, there's a lot of like pre-made code for that type of stuff that you can already get. Like my Iron Man helmet, that's a pre-made board with the code already on it. I just have to like do the physical electronics work, like all the soldering and cut and wire cutting, routing, and just make sure everything works with a good power source. So like I had to do all the physical aspects, but I didn't have to do any of the coding. It was just plug and play once I got all the physical electronics work done. So like there's a lot of stuff you can utilize so that way you don't have to do the super advanced stuff like programs, stuff like that. Just get a like there's a lot of code out there already. You can find whatever code you're looking for, grab it, upload it to like an Arduino or something, and then just wire everything up, and then boom, uh, you got whatever the heck you're working on to work. So like keep it simple, stupid.
So two questions for you with that. One, you mentioned something called servo. What's servo?
Yeah. So that's like a little mechanical doohickey. So that basically takes power and it will move something. So it typically rotates. Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically how it works, it plugs into whatever you're plugging into. So here's the plug, wire goes into the servo here, and then it has physical gears in there to turn an outer gear that's attached to something, whether that's like, for example, on my Iron Man helmet, an arm that causes the faceplate to go from closed like this, and
Okay.
then the gear on the servo rotates that way it can do this, that kind of stuff. And like they're used for mobile things and like different engineering, like your RC car wheels, for example, those turn and run on servos. And they're also used for a lot of animatronics and just like a lot of engineering work in general. So they're also very commonplace in some advanced cosplays with moving parts and stuff like that. Like not just Iron Man helmet opening, like you know how the back flaps on like a lot of suits open and close, like
Right.
same way with that. For example, I've seen someone make a Five Nights at Freddy's cosplay with like moving eyes that was just all hooked up to different servos to move it in like different ways, like up, down, sides, and stuff like that.
So kind of like how the Spider-Man eyes move like up and
Yeah,
down. Okay.
yeah, I've seen a lot of people actually like make those with servos.
Seems like a lot of what goes into making the electrical 3D prints is the same type of stuff that goes into what made our toys when we were kids.
Yep, you're
That's incredible.
basically making a handmade toy
That's
that
incredible. That's
that may or may not be more fragile, but that
so the other question I had for you, you mentioned something called, I think it's Arduino or something like that.
yep.
I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly.
Hmm.
So what is that?
Yeah, so that's like I should have some behind me, behind the camera right there. Yeah, I have like a full box of them that is empty actually. But yeah, so they're just, I'm just trying to see if see it back here. I actually might have it back here, but it's like a little board, like a little PCB board that like you can hook up like a bunch of wires and stuff into. So basically has little microchips on it that hold code. And
Okay.
so you put your code on there, you program it, and that programming will tell what each little wire connection does.
Right.
So it's basically like this long board about this long and about this wide. And so along the length of it are little holes there. And so each hole is where you can put a wire. And so how a lot of Arduino code works, you put the code in there, and so it all has like all the information of what should happen when it's activated,
I'm
and it also,
sorry. I'm here, Mr. Softy.
oh boy. But it will also tell like what each individual connection what to do.
Okay.
So like it's basically an easy way to like just like have one board, hook up a bunch of different stuff to it, and different commands will trigger and go to different parts of the circuitries wherever they're supposed to go. So just it makes programming different things a lot easier. It's kind of like a central hub almost, like the brain.
So it communicates to the device
Yeah.
what it's supposed to do,
Yeah,
isn't it?
the easiest way to think of it is like your brain, the wire connections are your nervous system, and your brain tells every part of your body what to do, like moving your hands, fingers, legs, and breathing. Like, do either one thing or do multiple things at once, and it can do all of that. So it's basically the brain.
Okay. Gotcha. The one thing that absolutely amazes me is I met you at Fan Expo,
Yeah.
and we were in line for Najito, who voiced Miles Morales in the
Yep.
Spider-Man PlayStation 5 game. You had a Spider-Man mask with
Yep.
you, and you were showing me, I believe, if I recall correctly, you had the eyes move at one point, right?
The eyes on that did not move.
Did not move. Okay.
No,
Okay. So
but they were like removable.
it was the you had an Iron Man mask, right?
Yes, I did.
That's that's the piece that I think moved up and down, right?
Yep. Yep. That
Okay.
was the helmet that I talked about earlier.
Right. So the thing that amazed me the most is if you didn't tell me that it was 3D printed, I would have never known. The way that you had made that, I would have never known that that was 3D printed at all. The artwork on it, the especially the Spider-Man mask, I would have thought you had like found that somewhere at the convention.
Nope.
But the fact that you told me that was 3D printed is insane. It's amazing to me how you can have these. So I play D&D, right?
Okay.
And we use 3D printed models, and these are, I'm not talking about these huge, like,
Yeah, just like these little
yeah,
miniatures.
these
Yeah.
little mini figures. And me and my buddy, we tried to attempt 3D printing at one point, and it was just an awful failure. It was absolutely a failure in getting the printer to work and getting the what's it called the resin to go through the machine even. We couldn't figure it out.
Oh, resin sucks. I will be honest. I personally hate resin printing. It has a
What-
great place in the cosplay community, but I hate it.
That actually leads me to my next question for you is what is your best preferred method of printing?
FDM, period. Like basic FDM plastic printing. Like you could print big on it very easily, print small on it, especially nowadays. You could get so much quality out of an FDM printer now. It's insane like the technological advances that they've come. And so like I said, like for like a full Iron Man suit, for example, like you can get like a big printer that can print like something like an entire chess piece in one go. Like you don't have to like do any combining work or anything like that. It just prints the entire thing.
That's insane.
And you could get that at the same price of a resin printer that can print about this big.
Jesus.
Yeah, like so that's one reason why I don't like resin printing because you have to spend a absolute crap ton of money to print big with it.
Yes.
And second of all, it is very messy. It it produces much more toxic fumes than most FDM printers,
Yes,
depending
it
on the
does.
filament, but it's very toxic. And it's and like I said, it's just a mess, and it can be a pain in the rear end to calibrate so that way your prints survive. Because I have I have a resin printer. I tried to make it work. I gave up on it because it just kept failing. I've only gotten like a couple good prints off it, and just I could not get the thing to work, and I ended up breaking it by accident because the
Oh,
USB stick was sticking out, and the USB stick was like this long.
oh,
I walked right by, and then snapped the USB port, and I was like,
ooh.
well, at least that gives me an excuse not to mess with this thing anymore.
I will say the toxic fumes of a resin printer was quite concerning.
Hmm.
Especially my buddy was printing it in a very small confined room. So that's a big concern. I'm shocked they even allow that. I'm shocked.
You shouldn't print in a
No,
confined room.
no.
Like they even like warn you that hey, resin print like on most printers and like resins that you buy, hey, this emits toxic fumes and it probably definitely has those California this may cause cancer ratings all over it
Yes,
too.
I'm sure
So,
it does.
so like, yeah, you want to print, you want to use a resin printer and ideally an FDM printer too, but you get away with a bit more on an FDM printer because, like, yeah, it's still emitting microplastics into the air. It's still not great, but like, you want to put it in a well ventilated room that you're not in very often. So, like a laundry room that has like a window cracked open, or like a dedicated 3D printing room, something like that,
Okay.
but you don't want to put it somewhere you're gonna want to be like all the time. And I don't recommend that even for an FDM printer, even though like they're safer. But again, they're still emitting microplastics. Still not the
Right.
healthiest thing.
Of course. What
Yeah.
does MDM stand for?
Uh, it's a very long, technical term, but just know that if you see FDM listed on any printer, it prints like plastic filament.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so that's any plastic filament printer.
Okay. So you actually mentioned how a piece on the printer broke off, right?
Mhm.
So my next question for you is how often do you, if any at all, find yourself needing to fix a piece?
Depends on the machine because just like cars, there are some that are much more reliable than others. Like
Okay.
take for example, my old Ender Free was an absolute piece of crap. Like it would constantly have like different problems, causing like layer shifts, prints coming off the bed, like and just like a bunch of different failures and like firmware runaways where like your the basically the temperature sensors will just run amok on the printer and like the temperature will get out of bounds as well, which is a very scary thing if it were like 5 years ago
Cool.
because a lot of printers didn't have those fail safes that stop the print when that happened. It would just the temperature would get out of whack and then you could cause a house fire. But nowadays printers have fail safes for that, which is awesome. But like let's compare this, say like comparing an Ender Free to my Neptune Free, like Elegoo Neptune Free Plus, which has been a fantastic printer, never gave me issues. So let's compare it to from a Honda Civic to a Chrysler 200.
Okay.
Honda, very notorious for extremely high reliability, won't let you down. It's a great machine. It works fantastic. Chrysler is known for having a lot of breakdowns, specifically electrical issues they have a lot of, as well as like some mechanical problems. Engines don't last as long as they should, like that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so like it's the same concept with 3D printers because they are all machines.
Of
So,
course.
like I said, some machines have better quality than others. So, it all depends on your machine, how much maintenance you're going to have to do. But with any machine, you're probably going to have to do some maintenance at some point.
Of course.